Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as Garnacho goes up for sale. ? Ruben Amorim with a shock transfer admission saying he only needs 2 transfers this summer, but we won't be fighting for titles anytime soon. The striker search becomes more narrow with Mateta, Osimhen, Gyökeres and others not on the list. We'll also talk about a few players that are coming back from injury, a very special debut that's going to happen tomorrow, and also I'm going to talk about Mason Mount. I tell you what, I feel like Mason Mount. I feel I have defied medical advice to do this show tonight. There's a reason I've not been on today. Big shout out to Maud's and Terry for covering me today. I'd very rarely get someone to cover me like that. So, yeah, I'm really struggling. But look, I wanted to do the Friday night show, so we're here. Apparently there's a problem with the volume. Oh, God. I'm not surprised because it's really low. Sorry about that. I'm not surprised because, yeah, I'm not with it. But lots to get into, and we're good to go. My nose is running like a bloody tap as well, which is going to be problematic. If it didn't look so stupid, I'd actually put tissues up my nose there. It's hay fever. Hay fever. I get hit with it really bad. In fact, somebody sent me a message saying, get a hay fever injection. The only problem is they stick the needle up your bum. And I've said, I'm not having anything up my bum at all. So, yeah, look, yeah, not feeling great. But we're here. Lots to discuss. As I said, I think I definitely want to. I've got an update on the Garnacho stuff. I definitely want to talk about Amorim saying. What did Amorim say? I found it really, really interesting. He basically said that 2 big players, two signings. I'm not saying we're going to win the title next year. I'm not crazy. I just want to focus on our strengths and bring 1 or 2 players, big players, in. We need about 9. So what does he mean by that? I have a theory. We'll talk about that. But before we get into everything, let me just say a big shout out to Surfshark. They're sponsoring our show tonight. Top tier VPN, virtual private network service. It's all about protecting your online data and privacy. With Surfshark, it'll protect your private messages, your photos, your videos and sensitive information. But the best thing about, and the coolest thing about Surfshark is that if you're on Netflix and you're in England, but you want to watch your US or your Indian Netflix or whatever, you can just change your location wherever you are. So you can be in New York, but say you're in London, giving you access to a world of content no matter where you are. Which is good for football and stuff. Surfshark isn't just a VPN service though. They offer the Surfshark One Suite, a comprehensive set of tools for your digital life. This includes Alert, which notifies if your personal data is breached, search for private and ad-free browsing, antivirus for real-time protection, and you can use Surfshark on an unlimited number of devices simultaneously, so you can have it on your phone, on your laptop at the same time, and it's compatible with Android, iOS, etc. Now for the exciting part, you can get 4 months free basically with United Stand. Use the code United Stand, you get 4 months free. So if you've never tried a VPN before or you've got one, try out Surfshark, 4 months free, comprehensive 30-day money-back guarantee, all in there in that package for you. Don't miss out on this amazing opportunity. Use the code United Stand to get your hands on this fantastic deal from Surfshark. Thank you very much to Surfshark for sponsoring the show tonight. Right. Let's get into the show. Let's hit straight away with the Garnacho story. So, early evening, it came out that Garnacho has put his house up for sale. And, you know, this is verified as true. Obviously, I did an update yesterday morning talking about Garnacho and how there are many theories that he could be going in the summer. We heard from Amorim in the press conference today that Garnacho needs to improve a lot of aspects of his game, which he does. And obviously he's been unsettled by Sir Jim Radcliffe trying to sell him in January. So look, Garnacho heading towards the exit door in the summer will not stop because of what I'm about to tell you. But the house sale isn't actually directly linked to him leaving. He had his family over with him. They've moved back to Spain. So he's looking for a more suitable property for him and his family. So that was always on the cards with Garnacho anyway. So, yeah. But what I will say is it doesn't mean anything. Like, if your house is up for sale, it doesn't mean you're definitely moving. And if your house is not for sale, it doesn't mean you're not moving. And if you're looking to buy another house, it doesn't mean you're not moving. there will be players that haven't put their house up for. There'll be Man United players that haven't put their house up for sale who are going in the summer. So it doesn't really mean anything. And I personally think there's a very big chance he will leave. Now, apparently coming out tonight, he has, from sources close to Garnacho, confirmed his dedication to Manchester United, which is nice of him with 2 months to go in the season. I'd expect that. But it might be out of his hands. He might be going in the summer. If we don't get European football and we don't win the Europa League, then I expect us to have to do something drastic. And drastic would be selling players that you don't necessarily want to do. So his house is up for sale, but that's not directly linked to him leaving. But it doesn't mean he's not going to leave. And that's basically the truth of where we are with that. If Garnacho can't or won't play Amorim's system and we are poor at developing is selling the only option, says Keel. And I lost 60 euros in Aintree. Call me a bloody prat, says Luna Sky. Yeah, it's the Grand National tomorrow, isn't it? Forgot about that. Jack Whelan says coincidence. And Shannon says, why are United scared of a kid's potential? Potential isn't a certainty. And Liam says, I don't want him to go, but if he wants to, then that's his choice. Thank you, Liam. So we can circle back to that, but that's the update on that. I want to talk about this. This, to me, is the big thing I wanted to get into tonight. I think it's a very big statement from Ruben Amorim this afternoon. I think it's caused a lot of debate in the fan base. And I'm sort of going to throw it to you and say, what's the problem with this? So he said, I'm not saying we're going to win the title next year. I'm not crazy. I just want to focus on our strengths and bring in 1 or 2 players, big players. I cannot manage in 4 years we'll try something. We need to be much better. This is a massive club. So break it down. What he's saying is we're not winning the title next year. Well, Slow Sports News. I mean, what do you expect? We're not winning the title next year. I can tell you that. I've been telling you it for bloody months. So he's right about that. And he's not crazy, because he would be crazy to say that. He'd be a bloody idiot. He'd be a prat. He says, I just want to focus on our strengths that I've already got and bring in 1 or 2 players, big players. I cannot manage with, in 4 years, we will try something. We need to be so much better. So the final bit is, he doesn't want to be the guy saying, when we build the stadium in 3 or 4 years, we might be a good team. He wants to be better now. So that's a positive as well. So he's saying we're not going to win the title next year, which we know we're not. That's unrealistic. He's also saying, I don't want to be saying to you in 3 or 4 years, we're going to be a good team. We need to be better now. And he said, I want to focus on the team now, make it better, and bring in 1 or 2 players, big players. I don't read that as I only want to buy 1 or 2 players. I read it, and I might be wrong, I read it that he wants to bring in 5 players, but he wants 2 of them to be experienced big players. So Gyökeres and Cunha and 3 kids. That's how I read it. So I know a lot of people are going, he's a prat, he's a Glazer puppet, he's a Sejim puppet, you know, he's just lowering expectations that we're only going to sign 1 or 2 players because we've got no bloody money. I think he's talking about 2 big experienced players, which I completely agree with. So I think that to me is not a bad statement from Amorim. And you know me, if I'm worried, and we've seen plenty of manager change course very drastically because of what they're being told by their bosses, and if I thought for 1 minute he's saying we only need 2 signings, I'll be all over it, like this hay fever is on me. I'll take it down, bruv. But I genuinely think he is not saying I only need 2 players this summer. It doesn't make any sense either, because if he sat there and said I only need 1 or 2 signings this summer, but we know we need a striker, we know we need a centre-back, we know we need a midfielder, I know he wants a goalkeeper, I know he wants a number 10, he actually wants about 6 or 7 players. So it doesn't even make sense to say I only want 1 or 2. He's definitely, in my opinion, talking about 1 or 2 big players. And that is absolutely minimum what we need. He needs 1 or 2, well, 2 or 3, minimum 2, ideally 3 experienced players. Gyökeres, Cunha, Frimpong, Ederson, you know, those types of players. He needs 2 or 3 of those and then supplement them with a few kids. Exactly. And then hopefully next season we can progress. And, you know, I think next season's very hard to predict at this stage because I think the Champions League dictates it. But next season, I agree with him. We don't want to be talking about 3 or 4 years' time. We want to be talking about, can we do a Chelsea? Can we go from nowhere to a top 5 race? That's what I'd be looking at. So, look, fire your shots. I genuinely didn't have a problem with that. And I look at some of what people were saying on social media. Imagine having a manager like that saying we can't win the league next year, get rid of him. 1 or 2, what are you talking about? I can't believe he's only talking about 1 or 2 players. The guy's already sacking himself. I think the major emphasis was on big players. So that was my thought on it. There's a nasal spray called Demista. It's a life changer. I'm writing that down. Thank you very much. Big up anybody who was on That's Football last night, by the way. I've already started looking. I basically asked, we might have some. If you're on the United States, get in the chat. Let me know. Well, let me know wherever you're watching from. But I want to know 3 cities to visit in the States. And the top 3 were Chicago, Boston, and New York. So I've been looking today while I've been ill. I've been looking at that sort of stuff. But thank you, Seamus Grant, for your super chat. Looking out for Goldbridge there. He's gave me a €20 super chat to tell me about Demista. It's a life changer. I definitely need it. I struggle with it really badly. Go Platter says, if Amorim isn't against it, I would consider any player unsellable. We are terrible and almost every player has contributed to that in one way or another. I mean, did you hear what he said about Man City as well? He said, what was it? Somebody in the chat will know. What did he say about Man City? I don't want to misquote him, but it was something along the lines of, we've got bigger issues than Manchester City. And I like that. I like that. You know what? I think as a Man United manager, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you say, I want 2 big players, people go, you need more than that. If you say, we've got bigger issues than Man City, wow, you don't know what you're on about. You don't know what you're on about. I like it. I like it. I really do. I like the fact that he's saying we've got bigger issues than Man City, because if we beat Man City on Sunday, the players will go, we've done it again. We are the Kings. What was the game after Man City at the Etihad, and did we win it? I think it was Bournemouth at home and we lost. Correct me if I'm wrong. We won at the Etihad and then we lost at home to Bournemouth. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. We also did it with Mourinho. We came from 2-0 down at the Etihad. We won 3-2 in the second half. The following week, we lost at West Brom at home. So he's probably saying it because he doesn't want to focus on the Man City game where everybody gets up for it, beats Man City, and then they put the cigar and slippers on and we get beat by Lyon. Lyon is a bigger game for Manchester United. So, yeah. I quite like that. Man City will take care of itself. The players will turn up, but Man City is not our biggest issue. Amorim's biggest issue is winning the Europa League, i.e. Lyon, and building a team for next season. Too many times we focus on these little battles. Oh, Wanfield. Oh, Emirates. Oh, we beat them on penalties with 10 men. Oh, Etihad. Oh, Old Trafford against Man City. Over the last 10 years, we've had so many of these individual games that never amount to anything. So let Man City take care of itself on Sunday. It's not actually... It's important. It's important, but we have to set our standards higher. And I think that's exactly what Amorim's doing. He's just setting his standards very, very high. He's going, you know what? Man City is a big game, but we've got bigger concerns than Man City. And he's right. Europa League and building for next season. Spot On says, Chicago, bad rap, but coming from anywhere in England, it will look like the cleanest city you've ever seen. Best pub and food. Nashville 2 and Denver 3. Thank you very much. Mark versus grass on Misfits. Who wins, says Jahid. Are you talking about hay fever? It's not grass, mate. Apparently it's tree pollen. We haven't got any grass pollen at the moment. Apparently it's birch or something like that. Darcy Jones says New York or Boston and Atalanta. And honestly, selling Garnacho, thank you, Darcy, for your super chat. And Noah Leilberti says, honestly, selling Garnacho for 60 million is worth it. He's developing as a selfish player with bad decision-making. Unless he changes drastically, sell him. Thank you very much for that. Wipe your nose, Marky. It is running. I'm just going to have to... Look, I failed... It's been a long time since I haven't felt like I should do a show. Well, I wanted to do the show, but I just feel rough. Let me put it that way. I have got a waterfall of a nose today. There's not a lot I can do about it. I mean, I could do this. I did do this earlier, but I look at Pratt. So basically, you take a tissue, you roll it up, you stick one up your nose there, and you stick one up your nose there, and you talk out your mouth like that. But it's going to be that's fine for me. My nose won't run anymore, and it'll be absolutely fine. But you lot will just be laughing, which is, are we okay with that? Smash a like if you're okay with that. Looks like 2 tampons, says Gavin. It solves the problem. I've been walking around the house all day doing it. I can talk better, and my nose doesn't drip. But, it does good. It does work. It does work. Talking about not feeling great, by the way, I've got a few things I want to talk about. But Heaven and Mainu and Shaw are all really close to being back for Manchester United. So that's good with Leon coming up on Thursday. There has been some concerns about De Ligt. There's talk about him playing on Sunday. We don't need to risk De Ligt on Sunday. Maguire, remember in the preview last night, I couldn't put Maguire in. So we could I think Maguire does deserve to start, but I wouldn't start him over De Ligt normally. So maybe we could just rest De Ligt and put Maguire in for this game. I think that might be a good idea. On Mason Mount, I just want to touch on, was it last night's show that Terry mentioned the Swiss thing where we might send Mason Mount to Switzerland? Now, some people on That's Football were saying, is it that Dignitas thing where, that's a horrible joke. We're not sending him to Switzerland to end his career. We're sending him to Switzerland apparently to it was this morning's show, thank you very much. We're sending him to Switzerland apparently to get to solve his injury issues, but he'd be out for 6 months if we did it. So I think that what we're talking about here is something that we've been talking about on this channel for a long time, and we sort of revealed it to you months ago. So Mason Mount has got, and look, I'm not happy about this. I'm not happy about this, but we have been probably proven right. We spoke about this from a very good source, that Mason Mount has an underlying issue that is always going to be an issue. And hearing this story last night come out that they're considering sending him to Switzerland and he'll be out for another 6 months didn't surprise me at all, because it fits in with the story and rumour that's been coming out of the club that he's got an underlying issue that's always going to be an issue. So I'm not surprised by that at all. Now, the problem is he fit on Sunday then? Or are we just going to use him knowing that any time he's going to get injured? I mean, I don't really know what we do with this. Like, if we're just going to use him till he gets injured, then he'll be injured again, you may as well send him to Switzerland and get it done. But it sounds to me like the club accepts there's not a lot they can do and he will break down again. So at some point, he's going to have to go to Switzerland, isn't he, or whatever. The shocking thing is that these issues should have been detected before we even signed him. And Chelsea took us for 55 million quid for this lad. I completely agree that if he could stay fit, he'd suit our system very well. Even maybe a starter, maybe as a bench player. He would suit the system very well. And I think it's very frustrating for Ruben Amorim because it's probably one of the players that he inherited that he probably wouldn't mind using. But ultimately, I think we all have our fears about how this is probably going to go with Mason Mount. And let's not forget, if he did have to go off for 6 months, that would be over 2 years of Mason Mount where he's basically been missing for most of it. So I don't know. I don't know. Pure Turnip says, when you blow your nose, spread the sides of them. I don't know what that means. We could have got him for free the season after if we wanted him that badly, says Andy. And Fade says, Man United have contacted Umar Kamara's representatives after a year of scouting. PSG want to keep him, but he's set to leave. Dortmund and German clubs also in. Faval involved, feels like a Kone deal. That's coming from Sully Says. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I'm not claiming any knowledge of that other than what Fade has just told me. I wouldn't be surprised because this is a strategy that Man United have. My question to you would be, does that excite you? Like, another 17-year-old coming into the club is fantastic, but what does that do now and next season? Good player, exciting player, potentially, yeah, but it's another learner driver. And I like buying these players. But if we don't buy experience, it's a bloody waste of time. And how many more of these 17-year-olds are we going to bring into the football club? They're not all going to make it. Are you not seeing what's actually happening here? We are accumulating young talent so that we can sell them for profit. We're definitely 50% of these young players we're looking to sell down the road. This is like a cattle market. Like, we are literally buying calves so that we can fatten them up and sell them at the market. There's no way we're using all these players. No way. We'll use some of them. We'll use the good ones, but they still need experienced players to develop them. And honestly, I am not here to support a football club that is just a feeder club. I want Manchester United to be successful. So, yes, it's a good policy to bring in young players that are talented. But, okay, you've done that loads now. Well done. Keep doing it. There's nothing wrong with doing it. I'm not criticising doing it. Keep doing it. It is exciting. But that's only part of the story. Stop doing it like we're all going to go, oh, yeah, we're cooking. Now go and get, it's like building a business, isn't it? I've got my HR. I've got my customer service. I've got my finance officer. I've got front of house. I've got my board. Build the team properly. We need some experience, 100%. San Diego, California is the best. Lovely beaches, says why not Jack. I got told that California is really woke last night. I don't know whether that's true. I'd fit right in then. When you blow your nose, spread the sides of them, says Pure Turnip. I've read that again. Eating local honey is a thing. Gives you immunity from hay fever, says Joe Laz. Oh, yes. Robbie told me that as well. Robbie did tell me that. Faxbridge, will we be affording a new dividend Dino with the sales, says Red Olsen. And Koika says stay away from California. Toe Jam says, do you think Agate will struggle in a possession-based side? Is he just an enforcer who can put in tackles, i.e. a one-dimensional squad player? Look, Toe Jam, I think you've raised a very good point, but I really don't think Agate is a problem for Manchester United. I think you're skipping to the final act when we haven't even wrote the script. Like, there are so many obvious things that need doing before we even look at Agate. Even if Agate ends up being a rotational midfielder, it doesn't matter. I would expect him to be part of the first team squad, but he is not somebody he's been here a year, and he has played in an Amorim system before. So, and he's still adjusting to the Premier League. I mean, I would just say, look at Fabinho. First year at Liverpool wasn't that good. Second year, brilliant. Gravenberch, first season at Liverpool wasn't that good. Second year, brilliant. So I'm not worried about Xerxes or Agate or Mazraoui or Yoro or De Ligt. I don't think those players for me are really a concern. There's a lot more things we need to look at. For example, I saw this morning in The Athletic that they were basically saying that, again, in The Athletic, United have sort of not that interested in Gyökeres because of his price, his age, and his wage. And I'm like, literally an hour later, you've got the manager who's managed Gyökeres, who needs an experienced striker, saying, I need one or two big players. He's definitely talking about people like Gyökeres, but then you've got journalists being obviously briefed by the club, yeah, we're not really looking at Gyökeres because of his age, his wage, and his transfer fee. Oh, that's all right then. That's a great reason not to look at a player, that is. Well done. That's my club. Yeah, United. Bloody love it when I hear that. We're not interested in that player because of his age, wage, and transfer fee. Get in. Absolutely. That's my club. Yeah, haters sit down. I mean, what a twat way of writing us out of a Gyökeres deal. I don't think this is going to be a problem for Arsenal. I don't mind as not doing a deal if the wages are ridiculous or the transfer fee is ridiculous or he's 31. 26, the fee is 60 million and the wage won't be north of 200 grand. So, you know what? It's a load of bollocks. Don't fall for the crap, because there will be people out there trying to steer you away from Gyökeres going, we're right not to do that deal. you know, Sir Jim is right. We shouldn't pay that money. Let's sign Delap. Delap's the guy to go for. No, our manager himself has said he needs 2 big players. Gyökeres, Osimhen, Cunha, these players are big players. They're going to cost you £60 million. That's not massive money. 250 grand a week is not massive money. And 26 is not old. So, you know, be very careful about these briefs that we're getting about strikers that were... It's almost like they put it out there confidently. Yeah, we're not really looking at Gyökeres. You can print that. We're not really looking at him because of his wage, his age, and his transfer fee. What, his wage is 200k? He's 26, and his fee is 60 million. I mean, it's hardly bloody Jadon Sancho, is it? Or Anthony. I think 60 million is a good deal. I think 200 grand a week for a proven striker is a good wage. And I think 26 is exactly what we need. Nah, we're not looking at that. What we want to do is buy a one-season striker who's 22, pay £40 million for him over the next 10 years, and just see how it goes. Another learner driver, you know? Let's see what happens, yeah? Also, we're not in for Mateta, which I'm not that bothered about. But if we're not in for Gyökeres, we're not in for Osimhen, we're not in for Mateta, the tap's running dry a little bit, isn't it? We need my nose on transfers. Bloody hell, the tap's running there. Yeah, I don't know where we're going with the striker. I don't know where we're going with the striker. The club are definitely trying to brief against Osimhen and Gyökeres. They're trying to put the fire out of enthusiasm in the fan base. I don't think we're going to do it by the sounds of it, but I'm not going to stop mentioning it. We need that type of a striker, and they're available. But if we're not going for Gyökeres, we're not going for Osimhen, we're not going for Mateta, and I've heard that we're not going for Jonathan David, I think we all know where we're going. Perk says, I'd rather 200k on a 26-year-old Gyökeres than 350k on a 32-year-old Casemiro. Look, it's not your bloody money either. I don't know why some United fans start acting like they're the chief financial officer, or, you know, they're bed mates with the Glazers or Sir Jim. You're not mates with the Glazers, you're not mates with Sir Jim, and you're not the chief financial officer. You're a bloody fan. Stop talking about, yeah, we shouldn't give him 200 grand a week. We give Mason Mount 250 grand a week. Give Bruno 300k a week. Why would you not give the guy who's going to score you goals to 250 grand a week? It's the going rate. You can't not do deals because they want 250 grand a week. They're worth it. I just think, like, we fans. Yeah, I agree with you, Sir Jim Radcliffe. Fans are acting like accountants. I've seen United fans going, we can't pay silly wages. Like when Mainu wanted 120 grand or whatever. No, he's not worth that. He's worth 80. Well, bollocks. Victor Lindelof's on 120. Eriksen's on 150. Yoro's on over 100 grand. Why would Mainu not be allowed 100 grand? I don't get why fans start acting like accountants. There's nothing wrong with paying a good wage for somebody if it's justifiable. Yes, they might flop, but that happens. But we can't turn into a club that doesn't pay anybody over 200 grand a week. You actually have to. Look, if Gyökeres wants 225 grand a week and he's 60 million pounds at 26, if I've got the money, I'm doing the deal. Happily doing the deal. I think he scores us. We haven't had a striker since Ronaldo that got anywhere near 20 Premier League goals in a season. I think Gyökeres, now there's a big kicker here. I think you've got to have the service, and that's been a problem for a few years. But I'd happily pay Osimhen. Do you agree with me? I would happily pay Osimhen or Gyökeres 225 grand a week. Happily. It's the going rate. I wouldn't have a bloody problem with it. But there'll be people in our fan base going, no, we're not doing that. It's hilarious. It's hilarious that we've got fans going, no, I wouldn't do it. We can't afford that. We're not doing that. We're not giving Gyökeres 225 grand a week, and we're not giving Osimhen either. We'll get to that for 50,000 pounds a week. He'll be happy with that. And I'm like, hold on a minute. We're paying the Glazers interest on their debt, tens of millions of pounds a year. And you're saying you're not going to give a top striker 225 grand a week? It's laughable. I don't know why some of our fans become accountants. I really don't. Look, I completely agree if Cunha wants to come to Man United, but will only come if we give him 300 grand a week. Piss off. Get stuffed. Goodbye. But 225 grand a week for a striker like Gyökeres or Osman, I think that's about right. Strikers earn more. And there is competition. And I think that would be good value. I do. People saying that bargains are good deals will be the same ones crying wolf when we're not competing for top four. We either want to compete or not. Patrick, I'd open this up to the floor because it's a Friday night. I don't actually think in football that you get that many bargains. I think you get what you pay for. I think the only clubs that really get bargains are Real Madrid because they can say to Kylian Mbappe 2 or 3 years out from the end of his contract, wait, just run it down. They can say to Trent 2 or 3 years out from his contract, wait, and run it down because they're Real Madrid. I don't think there's another club in football that can do that. But you know, we're not going to get we're not going to get cheap quality, proven quality. It's not going to happen. You might get lucky with a free transfer like a Rabiot or a Jonathan David in the past. You know, you can occasionally get a decent free transfer. And I'm not saying that Eriksen was terrible, but you do tend to get what you pay for in football. You know, look at Declan Rice to Liverpool. Look at not Declan Rice to Arsenal. Sorry. You know, Cole Palmer, Chelsea. You know, there's loads and loads and loads, and we're not going to be able to do this on the cheap. We're not going to be able to do it on the cheap, and I think Ruben Amorim's fully aware of that as well. Honestly, if somebody said to me, you can have the 11 best players in the world under 20, yeah, or you can have you can have 5 of the best players in the world under 20 and 6 decent players over 25, I'd go with the latter option. Because there's no way the 11 best players in the world under 20 are going to win you the title anytime soon. How are they going to develop? How are they going to learn? Where is the experience? And at the moment, yes, it's early days and the transfer window hasn't even opened, but all we're doing is buying kids, learner drivers, and he's got to be given some experience. Especially, you look at how overworked Bruno is in a Man United shirt at the moment because he is the manager on the pitch. He's trying to tell people and do things in a new system to get it working, and we need more. We need a lot more. But look, Ruben Amorim is saying it. So it's not just me saying it, Ruben Amorim is saying it. Mark, I'm grateful and honoured to have been given a shout out at the 10th year anniversary show. It's great to be part of this community. Thanks a ton to everyone at the United Stand. Mojo, you're an absolute legend. I've got a few super chats to catch up with, and one of yours was one of them as well. Let me go. Alex Zed says, Mount is the perfect example as to why you don't overplay for youth. No excuse for him, but he's been playing full season since 18. His body is giving out. I think this is going to happen more and more as well. I really, really do. Mojo says, our recruitment folks were a bunch of clowns. Mount, Varane, Casemiro, injury prone or past it, and we paid 150 million for the 3 of them and crazy wages to top it off, says Mojo. Mojo's just reminded me of something. I got told this about a month ago. One of the reasons we're looking at young players as well, and I find this incredibly stupid, one of the reasons we're looking at young players is because Sir Jim Radcliffe and Sir David Brailsford and everybody are really worried about injuries, and they think that if you buy young players, there's less chance of injuries. I mean, I just don't think they watch a lot of football. Like, Yoro's had a few injuries, he's a teenager. Mainu's had a few injuries, he's a teenager. There's no correlation between you're better off with a 19-year-old over a 25-year-old. The only real correlation is they potentially have 6 years more career and they have probably a little bit more potential to have sell-on value. That's it. But apparently that is one of the factors why Man United are buying lots of young players, because they think they'll be injured less. People are getting injured because the calendar is too intense. Mainu got injured because he was overplayed. Simple as that. My missus is American and I've lived there myself. Highly recommend Miami, Austin and Chicago. Top 3, says Kalia. Thank you very much from our American cousins. If you're watching, smash a like on video. Key West is beautiful and key lime pie. I do like that, Garfield. I do like key lime pie. Dennis said, Sir Jim said it himself, most profitable club in 3 years. How else can you accomplish that without being a youth factory for the big clubs? It's a shame. Yeah, you need to see it for what it is. Look, there's protests on Sunday. Hopefully that they are very successful again with the sit-in, but I see nothing about, let's take it away from Amorim and the players because they're very separate. I see nothing from Sir Jim Ratcliffe that doesn't suggest to me that this is just a cash grab. The stadium, young players, selling players. I think this summer we will see United sell a youth prospect for profit. And it won't be the last time we do it. So any young player that you get excited about, Obi, Heaven, this lad from PSG, if we buy him, don't be surprised if in 2 or 3 years' time, if they're doing really well, we flog them and bring another one in. You know? Dippy says, your voice sounds different. I feel really rough, mate. But thanks to the 8,000 legends who are watching, you're taking my mind off it, really. Yeah, look, my theory around this is that you get people like Heaven, Kone, Lasali, Obi in. They do well for 3 years. And at 2021, maybe even Euro as well, 23, 22, their value is around 50, 60 million pounds. And you go, we've just bought another 17-year-old centre-back. Let's sell Heaven back to Arsenal or to Real Madrid. I think this is the plan. Genuinely do think this is the plan. I think we want a conveyor belt of talent. So when Euro's 23, you do sell him to Real Madrid for 70, 80 million, but you've already got another 19-year-old who's coming through to take his place. We become Brighton. I think this is very appealing when you listen to stuff coming out of the football club and some of the hints that have been dropped already. I think we are looking to be a conveyor belt. I think we are looking at ways to make money. And I think that buying cheap youngsters and selling them for 30, 40 million profit in 3 years' time, I think it is a model they'll look at. And they'll look at someone like Favell to keep getting them players in. The problem with that is for a 19-year-old or an 18-year-old or a 17-year-old to be worth profit in 3 or 4 years, they have to play. And if they're going to play, your team is going to have a lot of learner drivers in it. And if you're going to have a lot of learner drivers in it, it's going to impact results because they will be sporadic. We'll have to wait and see, but it is a fear. Maybe the Glazers don't want to look thirsty, says Ndibwa. Take Ricky to Vegas, says Jeff. Rather 200k on a 26-year-old Jokeres than 350k on it. I've done that one from Perk, thank you. Kuna should be a must this summer. The fact that he can play anywhere along the front three is something we need desperately. Just on that, we're not buying one player, but if I said to you, what's your one, we're not buying one player, but what's your number one player that you want Man United to buy this summer? That's semi-realistic. One player that you would buy above anybody else that's semi-realistic. And why? I want to read some of those out. Because for me, as you know, it's always been Cunha. There's just something about him. And look, I thought there was something about Anthony. I'll put my hands up. I'm not always right. And that's the beauty of life, isn't it? That's the beauty of football. I can't stand people who, profess to know everything. Oh, I've been told this, I've been told that. There's never any self-reflection. And I think this is why this community is the best, because I think there is self-reflection. And, I've been wrong on a few things. I've been right on a few things. That's life. Hello. Whether it's football or whatever. You're not right all the time. You're wrong. But I like Cunha. I just have this feeling that he's got a bit of... I know you get Paul Ince, Roy Keane, Beckham, Giggs. They all say they're a Man United player. And that does still exist. Just because we're shit doesn't mean it doesn't exist. In fact, it exists more when you're shit. Because when you're shit, you're not Manchester United. So there is this thing that's been around Man United for ages. Sir Alex, I think, invented it. They're not a Man United player. So he'd look at a player and go, they're a good player, but they're not a Man United player. To be a Man United player, you've got to have certain things, personality, etc., talent. I look at Cunha and I think he is a Man United player. I think he's got the talent. I think he's got the arrogance. I think he's got the aggression. I think he's a Man United player. I don't think we'll sign him, but I think he would be really, really, really good. And I think he's a player that if he goes to Arsenal, he's going to go up a level. What he's done for Wolves this season, at times, has been a bit of a one-man band. I'd love him to sign for Man United. That would be my signing, definitely. Max says also he's a creative, but he's a scorer as well. Kuna is versatile, Premier League experience and strong mentality, says Mini Brew. Keith's gone with 3. That wasn't really what we were talking about. Tommy says I'd go Lookman or Osman, preferably both. Lookman's an interesting one. It's gone very quiet on him, but he is going to move. Cunha has the passion, says Mr. Polford. And Bumo, says Gabriel. Look, it doesn't have to be Cunha. That's why I'm reading some of these. Xavi Simmons from Leipzig to United fits Amorim's system as well, says Hyper. Modric, says Harry. Yeah, definitely don't want to do that. Gyökeres, because he would demand the ball, says Name. I like the Gyökeres one. I do like the Gyökeres one. I'm just seeing if there's anything different other than Osman, Gyökeres and Cunha. Sometimes there's a hot take in here. Edison says Marcus Stevenson. Yeah, a lot of Trincao, says Wizard. Dippy says, I know you probably get this a lot, but what's your timeline for getting United doing better besides owners and club? I don't get that a lot. I think it's a great question. I think there's a lot of moaning and there's a lot of criticising. And I think it's justified based on, you know, what I was just talking about, this youth conveyor belt, which I'm very worried about. I don't trust Sir Jim Ratcliffe and I don't trust the Glazers, you know, breaking news. But how would I get Man United competing? I think it's a great question, Dippy. So when it was Qatar or Sir Jim, I said the only way, the only chance I can see Man United getting back is a hard reset where the Glazers disappear. Not like whacked, I mean like they sell the club. We clear the debts and we invest heavily into the squad properly. So Glazers out, debt gone, squad investment. Not really bothered about the stadium. Start working on that in the background, but don't make it the front page news. We do need to do something about the stadium, but I don't like the way it's like, oh, look at this front page. I want the team to be front page. So for me, Glazers out, debt gone, obsession about rebuilding the team ASAP. That was the way to get successful. Now, in our current guys, that's not happening. The debt is still there, the Glazers are still there, and the most important thing is building the stadium. The pitch, on the pitch, it matters, but not as much. It's all long-term, it's youth. So I don't like this strategy at the moment. If you're asking me how you make Man United be successful from now, again, I would still say Glazers out, debt gone, and focus on the team. But it's harder now than it was 18 months ago when Sir Jim Ratcliffe bought his 28%, because Arsenal look very, very strong now, and I think they're going to get stronger. Liverpool, I know they've got an interesting summer, but if Slot can do well in the summer, they're looking good long term. Who knows what's happening with Man City? Chelsea are relentless. And then you've got the danger clubs like Newcastle and Villa who seem very determined as well. So even if I could remove the Glazers, remove Sir Jim, clear the debt, and come in and focus on the team, it's going to be very, very difficult now because I think so many clubs are very far ahead of us and there's not an endless wealth of players, which is why this summer is so important, because I don't think we're going to be a club that does these deals anyway. I think we're going to focus on the youth conveyor belt. But if Gyökeres, Cunha, Osman are all gone this summer, will there be those types of players next summer, or will we have missed the boat? And that's the thing. I've watched football for so many years. Some summers are dead. Some summers, you look at it and go, there aren't any strikers. You know, it's not a striker's market. There's not that much going on. So that's what worries me, is that I think we might have already missed the boat anyway, which is why I think it's so important that we try and get a couple of these big players this summer, and it's probably why Amorim's saying it as well, remember? He said it today. Kuna should be a must. We've done that one. You've done that from Patrick. I would play Mount versus Leon. Last injury was City, says John. Mark, if Mount's out for 6 months at 250k a week, is it not better to sell and get someone that's playing and rather pay him 250k a week? Yeah, but who's going to buy him, JC? This is the thing. You can't sell somebody that won't be buying. Jacob says, no dig at you. What would you do instead? I think I've just answered that, Jacob. How can Ruben be successful if he isn't allowed to get good, experienced players that he wants? The ownership is so stingy. Get well soon, Mark's a sketchy. Thank you, mate. Gabrielle's gifted 5 memberships. It is a Friday night. Thank you for remembering that, Gabrielle. He's gifted 5 memberships. Thank you. Matthew says, I remember when Liverpool were laughed at for paying 75 million for Van Dijk, saying he wasn't worth it. Yeah, I said he was the Dutch Chris Smalling. So, yeah. Thank you very much for that. With the ownership, okay, Mojo's back again. He says, we will definitely sell these youngsters for profit, but if we don't mix it with experienced players, then Ineos could be building a business model that will also save more than 200 million in wages. Cunha and Gyökeres don't want us. Osman's going to Saudi, says Malchut. I genuinely think at the moment, if you're asking me what striker we're signing, it's going to be Delap. And I can't believe that we're going to do that because I don't mind Delap. I don't think people have the mental capacity to understand that we're not saying Delap's crap. We're just saying he's a learner driver, and we don't need it's like saying I want lasagna for dinner, and then someone comes back with a curry. There's nothing wrong with a curry or fish and chips or a Chinese, but I said I want lasagna. I need lasagna, right? And you brought me something different, and I think that's how I feel about Delap. Nothing wrong with him, but it's not what we need. As I said, Arsenal don't want Delap. They don't want a learner driver up front for next season because they want to win the league. So they want somebody to come into the team with the authority and experience. They don't want Delap. Doesn't mean he couldn't do okay at Arsenal, but they don't want that. And we don't want that. We need experience. Publicising buying young players is also a selling tactic. With their names out there as a talent means that everyone is aware, bumping up the price, says Patrick Lynch. Sounds mad, but I think I could come to terms with losing Garnacho. The Mainu gossip scares me. He's a generational talent I look forward to watching, says Tom. You know what, Tom? It's a Friday night. I'm a big fan of Garnacho, as you know, and I'm a big fan of Mainu, as you know. But I've got to be honest, and maybe it's because Mainu's had a bad season, but we had 6 months of Mainu. He came into the team in November, and then he played through to the Euros. And people talk about a generational talent, and I don't agree at the moment. I understand why people say it, but I don't agree at the moment that he's a generational talent. I've only said that about one. I don't even think Garnacho's a generational talent. The only player I thought that was a generational talent was Mason Greenwood, and that went wrong not because of his talent. I don't think Mainu's a generational talent at the moment. I think he's got talent, but I don't think he's a generational talent because I don't know what he is at the moment. I think he can be a lot of things, but I'm looking forward to him getting back because I certainly think this season hasn't been him. And if we can get him back, I think people will get excited again. Mark, I foresee Asensio coming to United, says Shaquille. Asensio in our system would be brilliant, Shaquille, and I think that's a very, very good observation that nobody has mentioned. I don't think it will happen because I think Aston Villa would be bloody stupid not to sign him, but Asensio in our system would be very, very good, and he's proven he can do it in the Premier League. But you know what? We won't do Asensio, and I'll tell you why right now. Ascension I've just typed in, which means the action of rising to an important position or a higher level. Maybe it's a premonition. I am going upstairs to bed in a minute. Asensio will not come to Manchester United because he's 29. They won't go anywhere near him. They won't. On age, they won't go anywhere near him. Would you sign Asensio? Let's have a little poll on that. Is that too old? I've spelt it wrong. Would you sign Asensio at 29? Mojo's gifted 20 memberships. He's a legend, isn't he? He's an absolute legend. And Peter says, thank you for your football knowledge, Mark. I've learned so much the past couple of years watching the United stand. Well, thank you to you, Peter. I mean, look, I don't. I'm just a fan with an amazing community. I learn every show. I learn every show. There's so much expertise in here. So look, I'm just the guitar, you play me. I'm the instrument, I think we feed off each other. So thank you for the nice message, Peter. Would I sign Asensio at 29? I've got to be honest, I think there's better options. But I think 29 might be, you know what though? No, because we've got Bruno at 30, 31. I think if we weren't in the position we're in, I would. I think if you're Arsenal, you can sign Asensio. I think if you're Liverpool, you can sign Asensio because you've got a team and you can take a slight risk on a 29-year-old. But where we are as a team, we can't really take that type of a risk. We've got to go for, you know, open goal signings, really. And, you know, we need to go for every signing we make, the fans, the media, the current players have got to look at it and go, that's a good deal. So if you sign Asensio at 29, some people will go, he's 30 in January. He's on a very big wage. You know, he could get injured in his latter years. There's not really any future in it, really. If you buy a 19-year-old, it's like another learner driver. But if you buy Trincao at 25, you go relatively cheap wages, experience, played the system before. You know, most people look at it and go, all right, it might not be as sensational as the next Messi who's 19 or 17 or Asensio, but I think we've got to make a lot of those sort of signings where you look at it and you go, that ticks a lot of boxes. And what we need to tick is experience and longevity. That's what we need. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. He might be playing for a move once signed, might be average at best, in my opinion, like Willian. Oh, Phil Cartwright, we all remember bloody Willian in the empty stadiums. I've never seen a player like it. You know, the streets where, you know, people talk about, you know, prime Zidane or prime Ronaldo and Messi. The streets will never forget the empty stadiums after COVID with Willian playing for a new contract in his last month at Chelsea. He was a baller, an absolute baller. Manchester United have made it clear to Osimhen that he is their first option, says Fade. I've never heard of that source before. I actually got sent something today. It was a direct quote being tweeted out by UTD Exclusive, who I think is a good aggregator account, from somebody I've never bloody heard of again with 3,000 followers, from a source talking about Mason Mount for 2 paragraphs in a direct quote. And I thought I wouldn't wipe my arse on that. So just be careful about shit sources. Like, we don't need to gamble on shit sources. There's enough good ones out there. You know, there was some good updates from The Athletic today. There was some good updates from Ornstein last night. Just be wary of shit, because the more people spread the shit, the worse the summer will be. We had a really good summer last summer because nobody was getting anything apart from Ornstein and Romano and the Branthwaite story, which was Chris Wheeler. But there's a lot of people spreading a lot of shit out there at the moment, and it just dilutes and veers people off. Please don't do that with your hands, Mark. Look like a man 6-inch, says Gavin. I don't know what you're talking about. Nunez fits United. No, we won't go anywhere near him. And he's also been at Liverpool, hasn't he? Yeah. But look, I'm really looking forward to the Man City game. I'm really looking forward to these next... look, I was really looking forward to the Forest game on Tuesday. I just think it was disappointing to lose. But I'm looking forward to Man City. Leon can't come soon enough. I'm very, very focused on that. And I think Man City has to be a very good dress rehearsal for that. Newcastle away next Sunday, it's difficult, that. I don't like that game. I don't like that, because you play Lyon in France on Thursday. The following Thursday, it's at Old Trafford, and smack in the middle, you've got to go to bloody Newcastle. It's a tough one. And I would look to rotate, but I don't know. Injuries are our biggest enemy, I think, at the moment. But no, Reagan's right and Amorim's right. I think the Man City game, to me, is a stepping stone. It's take it seriously, put everything into it, and use it as a momentum to take into the Lyon game, because we can take a lot of confidence from it. Okay, I am going to get off now because I've done well. I think I've done well to do about 55 minutes there, so I'm very happy with that. I'm very, very happy with you lot for tuning in. Amazing community. Spread the word. Let people know about the United Stand, by the way, and spread the word. Thanks everyone who's been involved tonight. Amazing community. Thank you. Nice to see Mojo back as well, gifting 20 memberships as well. That is the Dublin night. That is an amazing... I wonder if I can show you it, actually. I got gifted this in London the other day, and big shout out to Ryan, our producer, because to be able to blow it up to that big is just incredible. Look at that. And there was another tier above that. That was right at the end of the show. So Big up for that. Yeah, I'm going to try and get to bed now. Hopefully I'll be on the morning show tomorrow. But that's why I've not really been around today. Yeah, just feeling a bit rough. But I enjoyed the show. Don't forget to check out Surfshark. Stay safe, everyone. Take care. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. And it's the Manchester Derby this weekend, so bring it on. Take care. Thanks everyone for watching. Stay safe. Thanks to everyone. If you're not watching live and you are from America, get in the comments. Let me know about some cities. At the moment, it's looking like Chicago, Boston, and New York, which actually is all on the same side. Although I was stunned last night when I said I can drive from Boston to New York in 4 hours, then I can drive to Chicago. 22 hours on a bloody bus. So, and 4 hours on a plane. Just how big is America? It looks like it's Birmingham to bloody Nottingham. It only takes me an hour. Chicago to bloody New York looks like it's like that. And it's massive. Massive. Robert McCormack says, wicked night. Oh, good. Nice to see you in there, Robert. Hope you're doing well, pal. Had a good couple of drinks with Robert and Slow Sports News afterwards. Good lads. Take care. My nose is running again. Look, I can see it. Disgusting. Speak to you all in a bit.